Well, hello, everybody. This is Spot of Nerd with yours truly. I figured 175 episodes. What the fuck are we gonna actually talk about? And then I realized for a moment, as long as you just get to see me, I think that is what is gonna make it special. So, instead of just picking a random topic, I thought we would do something where we just talk about everything. We're going to talk politics, we're going to review stuff, some other instances and occurrences, life, so on and so forth. But I figured if we're going to do a channel slash podcast, then let's do that the way others do it and just talk to you, the listener, the subscriber, the supporter, the people that hopefully love the content that Spot of Nerd gives you. I thank you for watching. I thank you for listening. If you would be ever so kind, throw that subscribe right down below. Give me a thumbs up. Tell me what you think. I'd love to know. The conversation is always welcome. Even the haters. Just know that I'll probably give you facts and truths that's you're not gonna like because it's fact and truth. So yeah, let's get this show on the roll, shall we? So a couple things I did want to talk a little bit about on the nerdy side of things was I actually didn't know, depending on when you're watching this, depending on when you're listening to this, believe it or not, there was Star Trek Day just a few days ago, which I have to give some pretty amazing credit to Paramount right now. There is a lot of great Star Trek content, and I know there's not really a lot of, I'll be honest, at least from what I can tell, there's not a lot of really big support for the Star Trek world, but I would encourage you, if you haven't yet already, to go and start watching some of these new shows, specifically Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which follows in line with, it's almost like a prequel where Captain Pike is actually in charge of the Enterprise. Every episode is a different mission or a different story. It's a very fun, it's a very eccentric, I guess is a good word to use. Incredible story arcs, incredible storylines, and again, it's honestly truly some of the best Star Trek I really think we've seen in a very long time, since the Chris Pine movies, obviously the J.J. Abrams that directed it, and then kind of those first two seasons of Star Trek Discovery. Star Trek Discovery was, when it first came out, amazing. It really, really was. It gave us a different story around Star Trek after decades. Because you got to remember, there was DS9, Next Generation, Voyager, and then Enterprise. Then they stopped. There wasn't any new Star Trek for decades until Discovery came about, and it really did, in my view, capture us. If you were originally a Trekkie, if you enjoyed the series, everything, so on and so forth. So as the season progressed, we got new shows. It also brought the cartoon, which is kind of the way I would say is a mixture of Rick and Morty, Family Guy, and some other stuff. But bottom line is, Star Trek Lower Decks bases the crew of a ship, as in like the people that are very low on the totem pole. But it's very funny, some of the adventures they go on, the crude humor. Again, very, very well told, very, very well done. So something that if you're looking for just something stupid to watch, obviously go and watch that as well. And there's supposedly some other new shows slash movies coming out, but I think, again, I have to go back. If I were to pick one right now, albeit I did do a review you can go back and watch. They also did Star Trek Picard, where of course it focuses strictly on Jean-Luc Picard. Season 3 to this day will be one of the greatest series of television I have ever seen in my entire life. Hand to God, I swear to you, if you want to watch, even if you're not a Star Trek fan, the third season of Picard was truly some of the greatest writing, cinematography, acting that you have ever seen on television. Verbatim, I swear to you, it was absolutely incredible. So, but I do have I'll be honest with you, I have a little bit of a soft spot for Strange New Worlds, and what really kind of nailed it to kind of wrap up the Star Trek day, this second season, I mean, this isn't really a spoiler, this is more just what the actual episode was about. They did a musical during the entire episode.
Celebrate with song. Do you know the odds of all of us being here at this time? It's improbable. And yet, here we are.
No, it was something you've never seen before. It's Star Trek plus a musical trying to figure out a solution to their problem. It was amazing. It really, really was, and I have to give credit to the writers. Regardless of this whole strike situation that's going on, I hope they continue that, you know? Strange New Worlds tells the story of something we already know that happens, and we're well into the future of what already now exists, specifically with Star Trek Discovery. So, with Strange New Worlds, the fact that it's the best, and it actually is kind of one of the top rated shows right now, it's pretty phenomenal, and it's pretty incredible. So I encourage you, for anybody out there, go and check out any of these series. Discovery, Picard, Lower Decks, Strange New Worlds. I promise you will not be disappointed, and what better way to celebrate Star Trek Day than to actually go and watch some of the new Star Trek that's out. It's pretty cool, so check it out. Switching gears ever so slightly, not to a sad note, but at the same time a remembrance note. We also just recently, in the beginning of September, was the anniversary, something that's really very special to me, and I promise we will one day eventually get back to discussing it. It was the anniversary of Steve Irwin, aka the Crocodile Hunter's death. I don't know the specifics in terms of like how many years it's been. Shame on me. I do apologize, Steve. You have to forgive me. But it's pretty incredible, you know, because it does make me... Anytime I think about the zoo, anytime I think about the career that I had, I always think of something positive, and it's always something happy. You know, was that job tough? Abso-fucking-lutely. Did it physically destroy me? Abso-fucking-lutely. But was it truly the most special job I have ever had in my entire life? Abso-fucking-lutely. I would go back in a heartbeat if I could. Now, yes, there are a lot of drawbacks to that job, specifically in the bureaucracy and the politics. We're not going to go into that right now. We'll talk about that later, but I just want to give you a heads up. We will eventually get back into talking about my involvement with wildlife conservation as a wildlife warrior, doing the job of Steve. Because again, he was the one that inspired me. He inspired me to go and live my dream. And I think that is the biggest part of it, regardless of if you listen to some of the previous episodes I've done on this, or if you've ever just gotten to know me a little bit more. When I was working with wildlife, not only was I happy, I was just incredibly passionate to do the work that we were doing, but I think the most special thing is I was able to basically live and breathe my dream. Not many people get to say that, and I don't mean that in an egotistical, sarcastic kind of way. I simply mean it in a, not many people get to live their dream job. They don't get to do their dream work, and I got to do it. I got to do it for 15 years. Now, the job I'm doing right now, sure, it's good, pays the bills, great benefits, but imagine, and I know this is so cliche you almost want to throw up, waking up in the morning and it's never work. It's so, I didn't believe people when they told me before I got to the zoo that you actually could achieve something that when you wake up in the morning and you go to work, it's not work. And that was the zoo for me. When I used to work at the San Diego Zoo, when I worked in Seattle at the Woodland Park Zoo, it was magical. It was special. It was everything that would make you just be thankful, because you got to do the work that is not only making a difference in the world, you're changing the world for the better. You are saving species of animals, wildlife around the globe, and you're making a difference. And it was Steve Irwin, it was the crocodile hunter that got me inspired to do it. And so to Steve, I thank you. It always just, again, it's heartbreaking that you left us too soon. It is so cliche to say that, but I think all of us mean it when, it was so unfortunate that you were taken from us, but I do believe you're in a better place. I don't mean that in a derogatory way, politics, me being me kind of way, but I do believe somehow there are certain people on the planet that come down or who are born and they make such a difference like Steve Irwin did. I mean, he literally changed this world in terms of wildlife conservation. He is proof that one person can change something for the better, for the worse. Sometimes it's depending on who you are, but he changed it for the better. And I think, you can go depending on what your viewpoint is, whether what you're reading into the facts and yada yada, but he had a lot of pain in his early 40s, and the work that he did, you can see it in the shows. His body took abuse, and I think that's, again, it's in a similar way with me. I'm not saying anywhere near the level of what he did, but it's amazing the toll that it takes on you physically, the work that wildlife conservation involves. And I know some people might just throw this to the wind and not think too much of it, but I really do believe that that higher power of God is basically looking down sometimes and saying, you've done your job, you have your kids, I hate to do this, but you deserve to now be with me, and then your kids can take over. And some people might think that's a selfish thing. I also think it's actually more of there's an interview, you can go back, and again, maybe it is one of those episodes, I'll put it on here, I don't know if I will or not, so you can look this up regardless, but there's an interview that Steve Irwin did where he's talking about Bindi. I don't think Robert was there yet, he wasn't born yet, but he's talking about his kids.
The proudest thing I've achieved personally is my children. Is there anything in this world that would want to make me give away what I'm doing now? Yes. Yes, there is. When my children can take the football that I call wildlife conservation and run it up. When they're ready to run up our mission, I will gladly step aside. And I guarantee you it'll be the proudest moment of my life. And my job will be done like my mum and my dad. That, and only then, then and only then will I know that I have achieved my ultimate goal, to be able to stand aside and let them run up my mission. Because that's what I did for my mum and dad, and I'm really proud to tell you that. By crikey, I've got tears flowing out, and I'm holding them back. I'm trying so hard to hold them back, but I'm just doing what they wanted me to do. They created a wildlife warrior. I am that. And they were able to stand aside to varying degrees. And I'm able to run that ball up, mate. I'm running it up. You know what? The opposition's hard and it keeps coming, but I ain't stopping until my kids can run it up for me, and then I'll stand aside like my dad.
When my kids can take that football that I call wildlife conservation and take it up, that is when I will gladly step aside. And I think, again, that is the definition of fate, and that is the definition of destiny. Because of course, when he had Bindi and he had Robert, they literally took over what he was all about, his wildlife conservation and saving the planet's species of animals and so on and so forth. And they are doing everything they possibly can, Bindi and Robert, to this day, to make him proud. And I know he's smiling down. I really, he is looking down on his kids and he's going, wow, I didn't know I did such a great job. It's mind-blowing, the incredible work that they do in Australia and around the world, because you can see it every day. It's absolutely magical. One last little tidbit on that, though, the funniest thing ever. Robert, Irwin, his son, recently just got a new girlfriend, and if you follow him on social media, specifically Instagram, it is hilarious. All the fangirls are literally, they either hate him, they are crying their eyes out, they are throwing a crazy fit. But it is, I mean, I know it's all in good fun and stuff like that, but it's just funny as hell, because I mean, I guess it's similar for maybe a guy having a crush on a girl or something like that, because everybody on the planet wanted, you know, Bindi found the love of her life really early and they have a family now, but Robert was always kind of doing his own thing, and everybody was kind of looking at him like, you're gonna be your dad. And he just apparently found a new lady friend and they hit it off. But it's just funny. Go look it up. There's pictures in the comments. He has destroyed the hearts of millions of girls around the world, and in the best possible way. It's just, check it out. I promise you won't be disappointed whatsoever. So, lo and behold. Right. Now, you know we got to talk about the serious stuff. It's interesting how things are currently going as we move into the winter and, of course, soon to be 2024, which weirdly, randomly happens to be an election year. And if you follow this channel, if you listen to the podcast, so on and so forth, we tend to talk a lot about politics in relation to the fact that this world is more corrupt than it has ever been, than I have ever experienced in my entire life. I was talking to a friend the other day, and just to give you more context, I remember reading history books back in the 1940s Germany, when Germany first invaded Poland. And I remember reading history of the Cold War and all this other, you know, the Vietnam War and things like that. And you think about just how tyrannical and how corrupt some of these governments were around the world. And I just think we were talking about it, somebody who's similar mindset, and we were just thinking, how did the United States get to this point? And it's absolutely astounding. It really, just recently, again, depending on when you're seeing this video, it was the governor of New Mexico has put in an emergency halt on carry and conceal for firearms. The level of illegal that is, and going against the United States Constitution, is, there's no words to describe it. But that doesn't really matter. I mean, of course it matters, but there's a big but here. The fact that a governor is already starting that process. I've said this many times before, and I will say it a million times more in the future. The fact that a high official politician, governor who makes rules and laws and decides how you live is now officially touching those waters, metaphorically speaking. It should scare the living shit out of you. Because Whenever governments don't get what they want, they will create emergencies to force whatever agendas they have on you. And yes, put my tinfoil crazy hat on, whatever you want to call it. Yes, there's a lot more of crazy conspiracy theorists like me out there than you realize, and I can't wait. I really, really cannot wait for the fact that there are so many more people awake now to see what is going to happen in the future. Optimistically, I'm actually looking forward to it. I really, really am, because as we get closer and closer to the 2024 election, shit is gonna get weird. It is gonna get crazy. To be very clear, I would never, ever, ever promote violence or any sort. I don't want any harm. I don't want anything bad to happen. I simply want a what is it Louder Crowder says, a safe and efficient election to make sure that we know the truth. And I think what it comes down to, without going into too many specifics or details, blah de blue blue blah, regardless of your hatred for Trump, put that aside just for a half second and start to realize just what is happening right now. The fact that he has now been charged, indicted 4 times, with probably more on the way, because they do not want him back in that office. They do not want him back in the White House. And they know for a fact that they cannot win off of votes alone. So what do you do in that case? You arrest them. If you look in the history books, a lot of bad people did the same thing. Hitler, Stalin, a lot of other really bad people who killed millions of they did terrible, disgusting, horrible things. Even I would even say, like, pause that, put even that aside, and ask, how is your life right now? I'm never going to tell you to go vote for one person or the other. I'm really not. If I've done it in the past, I apologize. Maybe I'm contradicting myself, but at the same time, what I'm trying to get out here is your life any better than when it was in 2020? You know, there's the cliche motto, specifically when Trump was in office. What do you hate about him? Do you hate the fact that he never started a war? Do you hate the fact that your 401ks and your paychecks were more? Do you hate the fact that he actually did more for the African American community than 8 years of Obama? You can hate me for that, but the bottom line is, go and look at the facts. This isn't rocket science. It would take you 10 minutes of research. Where is the problem here? The problem is your media and your social media and your narratives and your agendas. The fact that more people than ever in this country and around the world are more awake now just means, like I've said, shit is only going to get crazier. And I'm excited. I am genuinely looking forward to what is going to happen in the future. Because again, just to be very clear, broken record, I do not want harm. I do not want anybody getting hurt. But there's going to have to be some crazy shit if they actually want to try and do anything to win this next election, aka the left, Democrats, blah 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 blah. The bottom line is, the only person that can get in there right now, regardless of your left, right, up, down, middle, sideways, is Trump. Because you cannot tell me, anybody right now, you cannot tell me that your life is better now than it was back then. $6 gas, electricity bills skyrocketing, 7% interest on mortgage rates. You cannot, barely being able to take care of your family, barely able to put food on the table. You cannot tell me your life is better right now than it was 2-3 years ago. Because if you actually tell me that, then you are a liar. Do you feel safer? Do you feel more safe in where your home is, where you're living? I don't. And I live in the Northwest, the Pacific Northwest. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible here. And not only that, but the rates are going up. Just recently, car insurance recently going up because of the crime rate. things have got to change. And I think that's where I'll kind of finish the piece on that. It's got to change. It really, really does. You look at New York with the illegal immigrants that are there right now. You got to change that situation. I don't know how you're going to change it, but you can't keep going like this. You can't just have an open border. You cannot do that and expect peace and expect things to just run smooth. It's not possible. And the more people accept that fact, the more things will get back to quote unquote normal. I don't think there ever is going to be a normal, but there is a better way of life for everybody, including those that have come here illegally. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. You just have to go. I would encourage you for the first time, I guess, in direct way of Spot of Nerd directly telling you, go down that rabbit hole. Do yourself the favor. Go down the rabbit hole just for 5 minutes. And I promise you, you will never see the world the same ever again. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna scare you. It's gonna suck. But at the end of the day, it's also gonna benefit you in ways that you never, ever could imagine. And I say that optimistically. And that's where we're gonna leave it. With all of that said, one quick last brief moment, because I do want to talk about Ahsoka on Disney Plus. Let's wrap it up with some nerdiness. This is Spot of Nerd, so let's wrap the 175th episode up with a review of Ahsoka, because we've just passed the halfway of the season. There's going to be 8 episodes. We just had episode 4. Was it better? Yeah, there were some fight sequences, and we had a little bit more action-orientated stuff happen, blah, 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 blah. The bottom line is, I think a lot of, whether you listen to other channels or reviewers and things like that, what it comes down to is Ahsoka is truly dead. Not physically, not mentally, whatever you want to call it, but this show is fucking trash. It's fucking garbage. And the saddest part about it is because I've said this many times through my reviews, through other episodes, etc. I loved Ahsoka. And they've just destroyed every piece of her in this 4 episodes of her live action sequence. And I just don't know what else to say, because it's heartbreaking at the same time. I think that this is, I guess, because it just popped into my brain. The saddest part about it is, I just don't care anymore. And that's why I'm just saying such a brief little mention about it, because could I do a whole episode on it? I mean, if you want to just hear me shit talk it, but it's going to be the same stuff. Okay. Lame. But it's just sad. It really, really is, because I wanted it to be so much more. And it ultimately turned into what it always is. Trash. Absolute shit. So, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. And the fact of the matter is, like we were talking about in the beginning of this video, Star Trek is king. I swear to God, Star Trek right now destroys Star Wars in a heartbeat in terms of writing, direction, acting, characters, everything. From an animated series to live action sequence. It's better. It is better in every single way. So, take it with a grain of salt. What are your thoughts? I genuinely like to know. Have you been watching Ahsoka? Do you like it? Do you not like it? If you like it, you gotta tell me why. You really, really do. If you think I'm crazy for saying that Star Trek is now officially better than Star Wars, tell me. I would love to know what your thoughts are. I really, really would. Because you can't deny that if you're watching both, you cannot deny that Star Trek right now is destroying Star Wars in every possible way. So, we are going to wrap this episode up. I do, hand on my heart, I really sincerely want to say thank you to every single one of you that is watching and listening to Spot of Nerd. It really you might think I say it a lot as a broken record moment, my typical spot of no broken record moment, but I really do mean it from the bottom of my heart. Anybody that supports this channel, that subscribes and follows and likes, so on and so forth, because it means the world to me. It really, really does. So I encourage you to please continue to do that and tell your friends and family, because yay. And yeah, we're going to keep going. I don't know when we're going to stop. Who knows? Maybe in the future. But for now, I say we keep rocking it. Keep listening to us. We're on the Spotify's, Apple Podcasts. You can obviously see us right here on Rumble and YouTube, preferably Rumble. And yeah, we'll kind of rock it out. Hopefully, eventually, we're going to start doing some collabs with other people. Maybe we'll bring in some other groups, you know, like I've seen sometimes you'll see like, it's like, what do they call it? A Zoom call. There's like 6 people talking about something. So hopefully we can maybe start doing that. Maybe doing some more on the street live action type stuff when I'm out and about in the world. I also want to get more drone stuff out to show you. I want to do a review on my beautiful sexy truck, because my god, that is the sexiest thing on this planet right now, and we'll just see what happens there, you know, who knows. But we'll continue talking about, of course, the world, the latest in television and movies, and we'll kind of go from there, and we'll still have a blast. So please stay tuned for more. And yeah, that's it. Until next time, folks, we will see you guys next time. Later, y'all. Okay, guilty pleasure, end of credit scene. If you haven't already, Netflix has just brought out the Ultimatum Season 2. Now, if you're not familiar with the show, very briefly, it's about like there's several couples, and one of the people in the couple is basically giving the ultimatum to their partner because they've been together for like 5 years, 6 years, whatever it is. The other person doesn't ever want to get married, so they put an ultimatum of like, we need to get married or I'm gone. And the way they do it is they switch partners with each other to see if it's really like, do they want to get married or not. But very, very long story short, it's one of my guilty pleasures that I've been watching on Netflix. You've got to go check the show out because it's hilarious. The level of cringe is amazing, and it reinforces the whole relationship side, as we talked about even just recently, the hashtag relation tiredness of things, because my god, dating in today's world, I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you where to start. I couldn't even tell you what it is. You know, I look at some of these stories with these couples that are in this show. I know I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but bear with me on, because I will make a point here. I look at some of these couples and I look at some of these guys, and you know, there's this one couple specifically. It's James and Ryan. Yes, I'm kicking my own ass right now because I just realized I actually remember their names. But the bottom line is they were high school sweethearts together for 7 years, and this James guy just doesn't want to get married and blah blah blah. And like Ryan, who is the girl, is like the perfect woman. You know, from the personality to just truly one of the most beautiful human beings on this planet. And you don't want to marry it? Like, I cannot grasp or put the words together on what that means. And what I'm getting at is because, again, when you watch this show, not only do you reminisce on, I say that sarcastically, you reminisce on your past relationships and how horrible some of them might have been, but you reminisce on the fact that, like, God, if I ever had somebody like that, as in this Ryan gal, I would do anything. I really would do anything for this person, and I would never let her get away. I never would. And I think, I mean, as blunt and open as I can possibly be with my most recent past relationship, I gave everything. And it's not a woe is me, like let's play the world's tiniest violin, but it's like, I think it's just proof that when I find that person, when I find the right one, you're gonna get not only the most amazing guy on the planet, right here, but you're gonna get the most amazing life, because we're gonna have together, we're gonna be a force to be unreckoned with. It's gonna be fucking epic. And I think, not to sound pessimistic, I don't think it's gonna be ever happening again. Would I like it to? Yeah, but I just don't see it, because the time has come and gone. So, but who knows? We'll see. Maybe I might win the lottery. You never know. Wink, wink.